So with compound meters, it's different than with simple meters. And the main reason is that with compound meters, this bottom number, we have to have 3 of those to equal 1 beat. Simple meters, 1/8 note in this case would equal a 1 beat. But in a compound meter, it takes 3 of these 1/8 notes to make 1 beat. So we have to have this, tie these together, or dotted quarter equals 1 compound beat. And so we're going to count it the same as this simple meter. There's actually another way of counting it too, but we'll just count it the same way as the simple meter. But how we're going to group it into beats is by 3 of the bottom number each time. So that's 1 beat. 1/8 and a quarter, that's the next beat. Another beat. And this is not a full beat. It's 2 out of the 3. We'd need one more 1/8 note here that we don't have. Right, we only have 2 out of the 3. So in that case then, I have 1, 2, 3 beats, and then 2/3 of a beat. So my whole thing, 3 and 2/3 beats. What I'm expecting to have is in this case, 4 beats because it's 12/8. And so I have 4 groups of 3 that would fit into 12. The counts, as I said, we're just going to do the counts in the normal way and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we don't have a 12 because we just didn't have a full measure. So this next one, same type of thing. A beat is going to equal to 3/8. So here's 1, 2, 3, 1 beat, and 4, 5. Here only has 2/8 notes out of the 3 that we'd need to make a full beat. So in this case we only have 1 and 2/3 beats. For the compound beats, counting 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, sorry about that. 4, 5, and same type of thing here. Beat 1, and this is actually a full beat here because we have 2/16, 2/16, and 1/8. So we actually have 2 full beats. And we have 6/8 notes, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Compound meter with 9 in the top means we're going to have 3 beats. So here's 1, because it's a dotted quarter note, 2, 3, and this is equal to 3 quarter notes, right? Which is also equal to 6/8 notes. So it's 2 compound beats. And then we just have here 1 out of the 3 that we need. So we have 2 and 1/3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do we got next? This is not as good to do typically. Usually we use eighth notes at the bottom, and the reason why you use eighth notes at the bottom is because if you do, then you can beam them together visually, and it's easier to see, and especially since we have to have these group beats. So compound beats, it's typically a lot nicer to see with eighths or smaller, so we can group them. But you can have four like this, so let's do it. It's going to be compound duple, should be 2 beats because the top is 6, meaning we have 2 groups of 3/4 notes. So 3 of the bottom always equals 1 compound beat, and since it's quarter notes, then 3/4 notes equals 1 beat. Well, this is equal to 3/4 notes. However, this is not. This is equal to just 2 out of the 3. So we have a full one, and then 2 out of the 3 quarter notes we need to make the next one. Typically what we'd have, of course, is 6 means it's 2 groups of 3, or compound duple. How would you count it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're missing 6. Eight on the bottom again, so we're going to be a dotted quarter equals 1 beat, aka 3/8 notes equals 1 compound beat. Okay, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we actually have it all. Two beats. Oh, oops. Let's actually look at the rest of it because it has 2 measures. This next measure, though, there's 1. There is 1 beat here, and then in here we only have 1 out of the 3/8 notes we need to make the beat. So all in all, then 3 and a third beats. And you count as usual. 8th note is 1 count, so half counts is and. So 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're counting with 3/4 notes equaling a beat, so dotted half equals 1, or 3/4 equals 1. So every time we see 3/4 worth of value, we're going to see a beat, which is a lot of stuff, right? So let's beam things up here. 4 of these things equals 1/4 note. That's 1/4 note. That's 2/4 notes, 2/8 notes. And that is 3/4 notes. That whole dang thing then is 1 compound beat, or 3/4 notes. 1. Next we have 1 quarter note, a quarter note rest, and what do we need? We need 3 of them. But we only have 1 out of 3. So then we need 1 and a third beats. And counting them, we're counting quarter notes. So 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4. Same type of thing here. Let's just do them really quickly. 1, 2, 3. And over here we only have 1/8 note out of the 3 we need. So here's 1, 2, 3, and then a third. That thing is a 9, believe it or not. Next up, this one's a little bit different. Rewrite the notes and beam correctly in a given meter. Writing the counts, some measures might not be complete. Look at this next section now. Rewrite the notes and beam correctly in the given meter. Writing the counts, some measures might not be complete. Okay. So what are you really trying to do here? Mostly it's a beaming exercise, but we'll count and do the rest of it too. So since we're doing compound beats, we know that we're going to have 3 of the bottom number equal to 1 beat. So we know that we have to group things as large as a dotted quarter note to make it into a group. Dotted quarter note or 3/8. So I'm just going to look at this stuff and kind of beam it temporarily, and then redraw it in the next measure. So I go 1, 2, 3, 2/8 notes and 2/16. That's going to be 1. And then this is 4, 5, 6. So I need to beam all that junk together. And then here 7, 8, 9. So all that junk needs to be beamed. So let's do that. First we have, I'm just going to put them all on the same note because it doesn't really matter here what the pitches are. I'm going to put them all in the B line there. So we have 1/8, 1/8, 2/16. Is our first thing. These aren't the most beautiful, and just make them a little bit better. 1/8, 1/8, and 2/16. So we can just put them all together like this. Next, 16th, 16th rest, and then 4 more 16ths. So 16th, 16th rest, then 1, 2, 3, 4 16ths. And this we can just beam all together like this. This has got to have a bar to make it beam, rather, to make it 16ths. So do those. Last thing, 1/8, 2/16, 1/8. 1/8, 2/16, 1/8. Make one main beam for them all. Cross it. I said 1/8, 2/16, 1/8. There we go. And so now it's a lot easier, to see this type of stuff. You go 1, 2, 3 main beats. You can see that visually. We're supposed to write in the counts here as well, and we can do that, but gonna kind of assume you know how to do the counting at this point. Let's just do the beaming because that's the real focus of this section. Okay. We need 3/8 notes again, so I'll go 1, 2, and 3. So all this junk. We can't beam a rest here at the end, so we're kind of gonna have to just leave it there. Here's 1, 2, 3, so we can beam all this junk together. Okay. So the first part, I have starting out with 3/16 notes. 1, 2, 3, and then a rest. If the rests are at the end, we can't beam them together, so we're kind of stuck. Well, I just leave it like it is then. Can't really do anything. And then, similar for the next things. See. Oh, we have 1/8 rest 2. So that makes up our first beat. Next beat, 16ths, then 2/8. Well, all this can go together. There you have it. There's our 2 beats. Even this looks kind of disjointed here because of the rests. Same type of thing here. Okay, this one's 9/4, but it's the same idea. We're just going to be grouping things that are, the size of a dotted half note instead of a dotted eighth. Sorry, dotted quarter rather. So I'm going to count quarters because I need 3/4 to make a dotted half. There's 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to beam a lot of stuff together, really. That's 4/8, then 4/16. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beam across the whole dang thing. And then 16ths here. That is the ugliest thing ever. Beautiful. And how about the next part? I can't quite tell what's going on there. Yeah, it's really hard to read. Looks like 2/8 and 2/4 then a bar line. And that would make a complete measure. So if that's the case, 2/8 and then 2/4, and then you just, beam the eighths, but you can't beam the quarters, so you just leave it as is. That's it. Okay. Next up, 12/8. So it's the same type of thing, right? We're going to have dotted quarters equals a beat. And we're going to be looking for groups of 3/8 notes. There's 1, 2, 3. So all that junk. And then 3. And then we only have 2 here. Incomplete. First, since we're starting out with this rest here too, kind of screws our process up because we can't beam it. So I need we're going to have 6 total 16th notes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you just take all the rest of these cats and put them together. Next one is 3/8 notes. Bang. Then 1/8 and 2/16. And we don't have enough beats. If we count it out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're missing our 9 and we're missing a quarter note. Insert the bar lines. If the final measure is complete, and it won't always be, put in the final bar line, right in the counts. So this is about us just counting how many compound beats there are to figure out when we put in a measure. And essentially, we put in a measure every time, a bar line rather, every time we finish a measure. So in this case, we're going to be counting 9/8 notes, and every time we get past 9/8 notes, well, we can put in a bar line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bar line. And here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No bar line. So we don't put it in the final bar line because we don't have one. Next one is find 6. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. And then not a full one again. Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, so a bunch more of that stuff, putting it on the bar line, just counting the beats. Nothing new there. How about this last thing? If the measures are a full measure and beamed correctly, are they simple or compound? Writing the counts. Then tell us what the meter and meter classification is. Cool. So that's a little bit different. Okay, so what is this first one if it's a full measure? And try to figure out what type of thing it is you think. Is it beamed with groups of 2 or 3? It's a little bit hard to figure out. Slightly ambiguous. And the reason why is because you could potentially think of something like this as maybe 2 groups of 3 and incomplete. But it says if the measures are full measures and they're beamed correctly. Okay, so we're going to assume that they are beamed correctly. And if that's the case, then beams are going to be done in groups of 3s basically only when you have compound, because every compound beat is made up of 3 things. So I'll just assume it's groups of 2s here. I see 2, 2, 2, and 2. Everything's beamed to try to make a quarter note if possible. You can't do it with the rest, so it's a little bit hard, but I would say, well, this has to be then a meter of 4, 4. And let's see, meter counts, meter classification. I guess we put so meter is 4, 4 in this case, and we'll call it simple, since the top number is not a multiple of 3, and since it's 4 simple beats, we'll say simple quadruple. This one we can also see in number 2, it's beamed quarter notes at a time. We can't obviously do it with the rest there, but we can see 4 16th notes. Well, that makes a quarter note. So does an 1/8 and 2 16th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, same thing as last time. 4, 4, simple quadruple. As usual, we put in the counts. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and here, look at this though. We see a beam connecting 3 notes together, 3/8 notes. This also connects 3/8 notes, or this one here, right? 2 16ths equals an 1/8. Because of that, I'm seeing these groups of 3 and groups of 3/8 notes, so I know it's compound beats. How many 1/8 notes do I have total? I have 6 1/8 notes, and I only have 2 main beats consisting of dotted quarter note values ultimately. So it's 6/8 compound duple. Again, anytime the top number is multiple of 3, it's going to equal a compound meter. So what am I looking for in this next one? It's harder to see. I'm looking, do I see anything that can be seen as definitely a group of 3? And I go, well, 1, 2, 3 1/8 notes of equivalent. So because that is beamed that way, I'm going to see this whole thing as compound. 3/8 notes there. This then I'm going to visually group as 3/8 notes. Quarter note that equals 2 plus 1 more. And in this place, 2, I'm going to see this is the same. I can't beam them together because they're rests, or in the case of this one, because it's quarter note. but with the 16th and 8th I can see the real structure revealed. So what is it? It's 1, 2, 3 dotted quarter beats, or 9/8 notes in value. So be compound meter because it's grouped in threes. Compound, and there's 3 compound beats, so compound triple. Same stuff goes down for here, the rest of these. See, this is a clear, simple meter division. Quarter note, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Weird. That's not one of ours. So let's read the directions again. If the measures are one full measure and they're beamed correctly, are they simple or compound? If the measures are full and beamed correctly, I guess it can't be a full measure in this case. So a couple ways you could answer it. One, you could just say, well, it's asking for contingencies. Is it full? Is it beamed correctly? And you can say, no, it's not. It's something else. It's screwed up. Or you can just say it's what's called an asymmetrical meter, because in this case it's really 5, 4, and that would be called asymmetrical. You know what? I don't know how to spell that. Is it 2 S's? I don't know. So, or 2 M's. Same type of question here. I see groups of 3s, so I know compound. This whole thing, a lot of times they break these down and to make them a little bit easier to see visually. There's 6 of these things, right? 2, 4, 6, but it's easier to see it like this. Beam everything with 1, and then you do 2 16th beams like this. So that way I can see 1, 2, 3 eighths, 3/8 in value, but I can see them grouped according to the eighth rather than just all 16ths. It's easier to read that way. So do that when you do your own beams. Anyway, point is all that junk. I have that, and then I have this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's 4 of these compound beats. They're eighth notes. I know it's 12/8 compound duple. This one's harder to see at first, but I see this last thing as a dotted half note. So I'm guessing it's compound beat. This would be like 1 group of 3, 1 group of 3, and then 2 groups of 3. If it was in a simple meter, these things would have been beamed together. Okay, so what do I have here? I have a 12/8. Each of these is 3/8 notes. And this one is 6/8 notes. Oh, and so compound quadruple. This last one I can see we have 4/16, so it's a quarter note, so I know it's grouping in 4s like that, which is simple meter. There's 2 of them there. 1, 1. So I have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's another asymmetrical meter. Okay, and this one's going to be a 7, 4. Is it simple? No. Compound? Also no. And that's it.